In this video, we'll be talking about Amazon's S3 service. S3 stands for Simple Storage Service. And yes, that is S3. They had to put the simple in there because it's so simple. It kind of is, but anyways. So S3 allows you to store data in the cloud, much like you would be able to do on a hard drive or SSD. And if we take a look here, there's different kinds of services that can store your data on AWS. There's some that if you don't plan on accessing in a while, it'll end up being cheaper, but we're just going to look at S3 for now. And for 1 gigabyte of storage, it will cost you roughly 3 cents a month, just to give you some perspective there. And in this video, we'll be hosting a static website from an S3 bucket, and you can expect that to cost $1 to $3 a month if you are not in free tier. And if you're still free tier eligible, then it'll only cost you about 50 cents a month. And the reason why it's probably a little higher is because they still charge you for gets and requests and things like that. And the last thing I want to talk about is the redundancy with S3. So S3, when you put your data in the cloud, it's not like it's not safe. So they guarantee you a durability of 99.9999999%. And I'm not too familiar with probabilities, but I might say that you have a better chance of getting hit by lightning or winning the lottery. But again, I'm wrong. I might be wrong. So anyways, that's enough background information. We'll dive into the code now. So to create a bucket, you're going to use AWS S3 MB for make bucket. And then you're going to do S3 2// and then the name of your bucket. Now it's important to note that the bucket names are unique, which means that if someone already used the bucket name you are trying to use, well then you won't be able to because it'll already be taken. And so for this tutorial, I'm going to use S3 tutorial YouTube Corey Macklin. I'm hoping that no one would have taken this because it has my name. So now we've gone ahead and created our bucket. If we wanted to create a file, and upload that file to our bucket, we could do that like this. And then if we want to see all the files within our bucket, we could do AWS S3 ls, and then again the string to our bucket. And you can see right here that it has file.txt inside of it. If we wanted to delete the file, we could do AWS S3 remove, and then again our bucket. But this time we're going to specify the file.txt. So you can think of this as our rootmost directory, and so the rest kind of follows a standard file structure. So we can delete the file, and now it's deleted. So now what we're going to do is we're going to clone a repo I've made, and I'm going to switch to PowerShell here just because I've ran into issues relating to how the Linux subsystem path and the Windows paths are getting mixed up. And so this is a basic React application, and this is what we're going to use as our website. And so, am I inside of it? Nope. We'll do our basic npm install. And again, so this has to be a static website, which means we can't use things like Webpack Dev Server or Create React App. If you look at our index.html here, we are linking it to our bundled JavaScript after running Webpack. So give this a second and then we'll run our build command, which basically just runs Webpack here. I'm going to pause the video and come back when that's done. That's taking way too long. See you guys in a bit. Alright, it ran into an issue where, because I created it under the Linux subsystem, the user I'm running as in my PowerShell didn't have permissions, but I went ahead and changed that and now it works. And so now we can run npm run build, which will run Webpack, and that'll bundle our JavaScript. Perfect. So now we're going to go back to Linux and we're going to copy those files over to our S3 bucket. So AWS S3 copy. This time we're going to use recursive because we're doing the entire directory. We want to make sure we exclude our node modules, and we also want to exclude any Git files. It should be star. Alright, so now the directory, which is S3 React example, and then we need our bucket URL again. I misspelt exclude. There we go. So we'll wait for that to upload. I will go to my S3 terminal right here and I'll hit refresh. And you can see right here that we have our bucket. If I click on it, is it done? Not quite. So we'll wait for that to finish up. Alright, we are back. That took a bit longer than I expected. So looking here, we can see the files. Now, these files right here, by default, they're private, and that no one else could take a look at these files unless I change the policy. And so we're going to go ahead and do that right now. We can specify the policy from the AWS CLI. We are going to create a file called policy.json, and then we're going to go ahead and enter the following information. And so the only difference for you would be that the Amazon resource name right here would be different, and you can get that by clicking on your bucket, and you can copy the bucket Amazon resource name right there. And so we can paste that like so. You want to make sure that you put a star at the end of it. Going back to the terminal, we're going to want to run AWS S3 API this time. Put bucket policy, the bucket For all the S3 API calls, you're going to want to just take your S3 bucket name, which is everything following the S3 and 2 forward slashes. And then we're going to want to specify the file, which is policy.json. So now anyone could go to my bucket and take a look at these files. Now, if we wanted to have these files display as a web page, what you would do is you would go to the property tabs right here, and you would select static website hosting, use this bucket to host a website, and then the entry point is going to be our index.html. We hit save. Now, if you click here again, you have an endpoint, and if you click on that, you can see that we have our React application right here. We know React is working because if I hit toggle, it'll change the state. And so thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments.